Ever find yourself wishing you had just a little bit of that secret agent savoir-faire?
Yeah.
Well, get ready, because today's deep dive, we're looking at how the skills of a spy can be useful in everyday life.
Absolutely.
Right.
Yeah, it's about understanding the psychology of human behavior.
Oh, totally.
Really getting inside how we think and why we act the way we do. And who better to guide us through this shadowy world than former CIA officer Andrew Bustamante?
Right. He literally teaches these techniques now through his company Everyday Spy.
Right.
But let's rewind a bit.
Okay.
Did you know that Andrew's path to the CIA started with a computer pop-up?
Oh, wow.
He was applying for the Peace Corps.
Wow.
Hoping to make a difference after his time as a nuclear missile officer.
Talk about a career shift.
Right.
Wow. From weapons of mass destruction to teaching English in Africa.
Right.
It speaks to this fascinating desire so many people have to find their purpose, don't you think?
Totally. But that pop-up, it turned out that the CIA was running this algorithm on government websites.
Wow.
Looking for specific psychological profiles.
Oh, really?
They were searching for individuals who could handle secrets and lies and pressure.
Yeah.
You know, spy stuff.
Right.
And Andrew's background, well, it piqued their interest.
Makes you wonder what they're looking for exactly. It's not about finding people who are morally perfect, but rather those who can navigate the gray areas, those with that moral flexibility, as they call it.
Which, given the nature of the job, I mean, it kind of makes sense.
Right.
And Andrew's upbringing actually played a role here.
Okay.
Raised by a single mom, later a stepdad. He was no stranger to secrets and white lies.
Yeah.
So the CIA saw that he was comfortable in situations where trust was constantly being tested.
Yeah, it's like his childhood inadvertently prepped him for this.
Right.
Talk about unexpected origins.
Yeah.
It really highlights how our experiences, even from a young age, shape how we view the world and interact with others.
Okay, so let's talk about the art of lying.
Okay.
It's something we've all probably wondered about. Can you really tell if someone's lying just by looking at their eyes?
Well, Andrew debunks that myth right away.
Okay.
It's not about catching someone's eyes darting around.
Right.
Instead, he emphasizes the importance of establishing a baseline of someone's typical behavior.
So, like, if your normally chatty coworker suddenly clams up,
Exactly.
it might be a sign something's up.
Yeah, you're looking for those subtle deviations from the norm.
Right.
And here's a fascinating tactic that skilled liars use. They often talk less and ask more questions.
Oh.
It almost disarms you because they seem genuinely interested.
Right. It's like they're reflecting your behavior back at you.
Exactly.
Like building that sense of trust.
Yeah.
But what about body language?
Sure.
Don't our bodies betray us sometimes?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Andrew gives this great example of a stereotypical jock, all big and confident. But when they try to speak, their voice cracks. Their words contradict their demeanor.
It's those inconsistencies, those little slips that can be so revealing.
Exactly.
But this next part is really interesting. It's not just about detecting lies.
Right.
It's about understanding what drives people.
Right. Andrew uses this framework called IC.
Okay.
Reward, ideology, coercion, and ego.
Okay.
Think about it. Have you ever wondered why some people fall for scams? It's often because that scammer has tapped into their victim's ideology.
Right.
Their deeply held beliefs.
That's fascinating. So it's not just about manipulation, but it's also about understanding how to connect with people authentically.
Right.
If you want to truly influence someone, understanding their values is key.
Absolutely. And this applies even on a larger scale. Businesses are catching on to this.
Okay.
Think about those apps that remind fathers to read to their children.
Okay.
They're not just selling an app. They're appealing to the desire to be a good parent.
Okay. That's very clever.
Yeah.
They've tapped into something much deeper
Right.
than just a need for another app. It makes you think about how easily we can be influenced when someone knows the right buttons to push.
Right.
But how do we protect ourselves from being manipulated?
That's where Andrew's distinction between perception and perspective comes in.
Okay.
We talked about this a little in the last episode,
Right.
but it's so crucial.
Good.
He says that most people operate based on perception, what they see at the surface, colored by their own experiences and biases.
Right, like that classic example that Andrew uses.
Right.
Mistaking a pile of socks for a rat in a dark room.
Exactly.
Your heart races, you think rodent.
Yeah.
But then you flip on the light and it's just socks.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Perspective, on the other hand, is about digging deeper.
Okay.
Questioning those initial reactions, looking for objective truth.
Mm-hmm.
And this is something that the CIA drills into its recruits.
Okay.
Distrust your gut, look for the facts.
It's about taking that extra beat to analyze the situation before jumping to conclusions.
Right.
Which, let's be honest, is easier said than done.
It definitely takes practice.
Yeah.
But speaking of practical applications, let's dive into this acronym Andrew uses.
Okay.
SARA. Now, it sounds a little ominous,
Okay.
but it's actually a framework for intelligence gathering.
Okay, I'm intrigued. Break it down for us.
So SARAT stands for Spot, Assess, Develop, Recruit, Handle, Terminate.
Okay.
Now, before you worry, we're not advocating for anything extreme here.
Okay.
The fascinating part is how this translates to everyday situations, like in business.
So SPOT could be identifying potential clients.
Uh-huh.
Developed is building that relationship.
Yeah.
Recruit is closing the deal.
You got it.
Okay.
But here's where Andrew emphasizes a stage that many overlook. Assess.
Okay.
In the spy world, it's about determining if an asset is valuable.
Mm-hmm.
Will they provide good intel?
Right.
In business, it's about assessing the lifetime value of a customer.
Will they be a one-time buyer or a loyal repeat customer? That's huge.
Right.
Wow.
It's about playing the long game. And speaking of long games, this leads us to another one of Andrew's intriguing concepts.
Okay.
The three lives we all live, our public life,
Mm-hmm.
our private life,
Right.
and then our secret life.
Okay, this is where things get interesting.
Yeah.
Our secret life, the one even our closest friends might not know about.
It's that inner vault where we hold our vulnerabilities, our deepest desires, the stuff we don't readily share.
Right.
And espionage, at its core, is about gaining access to that secret life.
Okay, so how do spies do that? Are we talking about elaborate lies, fabricated shared trauma?
Not quite.
Okay.
Andrew says it's more about what he calls opening windows, not breaking down doors.
Opening windows, not breaking down doors.
I like that.
So instead of inventing some elaborate lie to force a connection,
Right.
it's about strategically revealing bits of yourself
Exactly.
to encourage reciprocation.
It's about vulnerability and genuine connection.
Okay.
Andrew calls it the two questions and a confirmation technique.
Okay.
You offer a glimpse into your own life, then ask follow-up questions, validating their feelings and showing genuine interest.
So simple,
Yeah.
yet so effective.
Yeah.
It makes the other person feel heard and understood,
Exactly.
which builds trust and encourages them to open up.
Absolutely.
And that's how you start to get a peek into that secret life.
Yeah.
But gaining trust is one thing, overcoming fear is another.
Right.
This next part really surprised me.
Okay.
Andrew talks about fear not as something to be avoided, but as a potential superpower.
Really?
Wait, what? How can anxiety possibly be a superpower?
All right.
It feels like the opposite most of the time.
Yeah. Well, this is where the CIA's approach is fascinating.
Okay.
They actually see anxiety as an asset.
Yeah.
It heightens your awareness and keeps you sharp.
So it's like our fear is trying to protect us.
Right.
We just need to learn how to harness it.
Exactly.
Okay.
Andrew explains it like this. When we encounter something scary,
Mm,
our emotional brain reacts instantly with that fight or flight response.
right.
But our logical brain, it's slower to catch up.
So we're reacting before we even have time to process what's happening.
Right.
Wow.
And that's where stress inoculation comes in.
Oh,
The CIA exposes recruits to controlled doses of fear,
wow.
forcing them to confront their anxieties and build resilience.
It's like exposure therapy, but for spies.
Exactly.
Right.
By repeatedly facing those fears, they learn to manage their reactions under pressure.
Okay.
And Andrew challenges us to do the same.
So what small calculated risk
Exactly.
can you take today to inoculate yourself against fear?
Right.
It's about getting comfortable with discomfort,
Yes.
pushing past those self-imposed limitations.
Because on the other side of fear is often growth and opportunity.
I like that.
Yeah.
And this leads us to one final and perhaps controversial point from Andrew.
Okay.
He believes we shouldn't strive for equality.
Oh.
Now, did I hear that right? Not strive for equality.
Yeah.
That seems to go against, well, everything.
It's a bold statement for
Yeah.
sure. But Andrew's argument is that humans are naturally wired to seek an advantage.
Okay.
We want to be better. We want to stand out. We want to get ahead.
So it's not about celebrating inequality, but recognizing this inherent drive
Exactly.
in us.
It's about understanding human nature and using it to our advantage.
Okay.
And this ties back to the importance of action. It doesn't have to be perfect. Just start.
Right.
Because even small steps forward put you ahead of the majority who never even try.
That's a powerful message to end on.
Yeah.
It's about pushing past fear, embracing challenges, and striving for growth.
And recognizing that we all have this potential within us. It's about unlocking the secrets to a more fulfilling life.
Right.
One small action at a time.
Opening windows, not breaking down doors. I like that. So instead of inventing some elaborate lie to force a connection, it's about strategically revealing bits of yourself to encourage reciprocation.
Exactly. It's about vulnerability and genuine connection. Andrew calls it the 2 questions and a confirmation technique. You offer a glimpse into your own life, then ask follow-up questions, validating their feelings and showing genuine interest.
So simple, yet so effective. It makes the other person feel heard and understood, which builds trust and encourages them to open up.
And that's how you start to get a peek into that secret life. But gaining a trust is one thing, overcoming fear is another. This next part really surprised me. Andrew talks about fear not as something to be avoided, but as a potential superpower.
Wait, what? How can anxiety possibly be a superpower? It feels like the opposite most of the time.
Right. Here's where the CIA's approach is fascinating. They actually see anxiety as an asset.
Okay.
It heightens awareness and keeps you sharp.
So it's like our fear is trying to protect us. We just need to learn how to harness it.
Exactly. Andrew explains it like this. When we encounter something scary, our emotional brain reacts instantly with that fight or flight response.
Right.
But our logical brain, it's slower to catch up.
So we're reacting before we even have time to process what's happening.
Right, and that's where stress inoculation comes in. The CIA exposes recruits to controlled doses of fear, forcing them to confront those anxieties and build resilience.
It's like exposure therapy, but for spies.
Exactly. By repeatedly facing those fears, they learn to manage their reactions under pressure. And Andrew challenges us to do the same. What small, calculated risk can you take today to inoculate yourself against fear?
It's about getting comfortable with discomfort, pushing past those self-imposed limitations.
Because on the other side of fear is often growth and opportunity. And this leads us to one final and perhaps controversial point from Andrew. He believes we shouldn't strive for equality.
Now, hold on. Did I hear that right? Not strive for equality. That seems to go against, well, everything.
It's a bold statement for sure. But Andrew's argument is that humans are naturally wired to seek an advantage. We want to be better, we want to stand out, we want to get ahead.
So it's not about celebrating inequality, but recognizing this inherent drive within us.
Exactly. It's about understanding human nature and using it to our advantage. And this ties back to the importance of action. It doesn't have to be perfect, just start, because even small steps forward put you ahead of the majority who never even try.
That's a powerful message to end on. It's about pushing past fear, embracing challenges, and striving for growth.
Yeah.
And, maybe questioning some of those long-held assumptions we have about the world and ourselves.
Absolutely. It's about unlocking those secrets to a more fulfilling life, one small action at a time.
So what resonated most with you from Andrew's story? What small action can you take today to step into that greater perspective? We'd love to hear your thoughts.